Hello and welcome to Texans Talk Money. I'm Kyla, your host and a peer financial coach at Texan Smart. Every episode, we will be joined by another peer financial coach from my office, where we will be navigating all the roads on how to handle your money as a college student. So sit back and get your wallets ready to be Texan Smart.
Welcome back to Texans Talk Money. I'm one of your hosts, Addison, and my co-host, Kaiten, is out today, but we are joined by two of our fantastic PFCs, Ian and Willem. If y'all would like to introduce yourselves.
My name is Willem. I'm a junior construction science major, and
I'm Ian. I'm a peer financial coach at Texan Smart, and I'm in freshman engineering major.
All right, so today's topic is building credit from scratch. So some of the things we're going to go over is the importance of credit history for future financial goals, ways to establish and build credit responsibly, common pitfalls to avoid with credit cards. So what exactly is credit?
So credit is the ability to borrow money or a service or goods, something like that, with the understanding that you will pay it later. It's kind of like just that, almost like a loan. That you're going to borrow it and you're going to pay it back later as long as you pay it back. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. But it's convenient because if you have a big purchase or an unexpected purchase, you can go ahead and budget for that even if you don't have the money right then. As long as you have it by the time you need to pay it back, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that it's a good thing to learn about really young too, because as college kids, a lot of unexpected things come up. You know, you get a flat tire, you hit another car. Maybe your parents are like, okay, you got to pay up a little bit.
You need to pay your
so
bills.
It's good to be able to have that financial flexibility to handle some of those larger purchases.
Yeah, your laptop breaks. And
Your
you have an
laptop,
assignment due
you
that
gotta,
night.
yeah. So to be able to handle those large and unexpected purchases that you weren't really expecting to come your way. You also want to be able to build good relationships with lenders, because if you're just sitting there using your credit card, swiping it day and night, I mean, they're not going to want to give you a credit card if you go and apply for another one, a new one. So you want to make sure that you have a good behavior, you borrow smartly,
knowing to pay it off.
And you want to pay it off. Pay it off is a big thing. That's where a lot of people get caught, is they don't pay it off, and then they get stuck with all kinds of credit card debt. So a big thing that people hear about when you hear about credit is your credit score.
Right. You can see all those ads from credit card companies
Yeah.
and, oh, low credit score. But what is that? And so that is just a representation of your credit worthiness used by lenders. So, like, if you are just a spender and you're doing more credit than you have money, the more money you're going to make, and you're just overspending that much, which is a bad thing, you have a low credit score. And so credit score ranges from 300 to 850, and 3 to 579 is going to be difficult to obtain credit. It's going to be hard for anybody to get approved if your credit score is that low. And as you get into the 600s, it's a little bit better. And then good credit score is anywhere from 670 to 740. Around there is good. Very good is going to be anywhere above that to 800. And 800 to 850 is going to be your best interest rate. That's what people are going to be looking for the most.
Yeah, you want to steer clear of those low credit scores, because the lower, the higher your interest rate is, which means the more you're paying off than you actually spend sometimes. Sometimes you'll have to pay back more than you even spent. And if you have that excellent 800 to 850 credit score, I mean, you're just paying off anything that you spend on it. You could have 50 credit cards running out your pocket. I mean, but it's just one of those, you got to make sure you pay it back, but you also want to make sure you use it. Because if you don't use it, you're not going to have that credit score that's going to be like, oh, you're spending your money wisely, you're borrowing and paying back smartly, you're not avoiding having potential problems. So that's another thing you have to think about. You want to spend, but you don't want to overspend.
You don't want to spend more than what you're making, because if your credit score is low, in the long term, you're not going to be able to get a house, you're not going to be able to rent, you're not going to be able to get you that car that you want,
No one will
stuff
approve
like
you
that.
for anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the importance of building credit early, especially as a college student, kind of comes in with long-term benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, but you know, you got to watch out for those pitfalls. So what are some of those long-term things that you can look forward to the earlier you build?
Yeah, so the from what I've seen from having a credit card since I was 18, that even if you pay everything off every month, like the longer you have a credit card, the better your credit score is going to be, just because those lenders are going to trust you more, because they've seen if you've only been paying it off you've had a credit card for 6 months, but then if you have somebody that's had it for 15 years, they're going to trust them more. But the long-term things are going to be like the ability to rent a house when y'all get out of college. I mean, you're going to want to get a house. And if you have a poor credit score or have never had a credit card, they're going to take the person who has had a credit card before. It's a lot easier to get loans if you're trying to buy a piece of land or buy something like that, because the lenders are going to see that you have a good credit score and you've been paying off your credit card for a long time and stuff like that.
Yeah, you just want to make sure the more you think about what am I going to be able to expect if I start building early and I have a good credit score early, what is something that's going to benefit me in the long term? Because right now, I mean, I live on campus right now, and so I don't really have to think about paying rent or anything. It's kind of part of my tuition and housing and board. But if I started now and I'm going and using it on bigger purchases and using it to pay off some things, I could, when I eventually decide to live off campus, I would have a better chance at getting an apartment or even renting a house.
Yeah.
But I'd have to be careful, because if I don't spend wisely, if I don't borrow wisely, and I don't pay back, or I spend a lot more than I should, it's kind of hard for me to obtain another card in the future, or even better credit. You also just want to make sure that you just got to reiterate, you don't want to spend too much, because the more you spend, the further you dive into debt and the further you drive yourself into those low credit scores, and the harder it is to come back from those. Yeah.
What my parents always said is, if you get a credit card, I mean, just buy your necessities like gas, maybe buy a tank of gas every month on your credit card, buy your groceries and stuff like that. That way you're building your credit, but you're only maybe spending $200 a month on your credit card. So you're spending it, so you're getting your credit score good, and you're paying it off every month. It's just you're not going out buying new TVs every month and stuff like that and putting yourself into debt.
Yeah, that's what you said earlier, is right. You don't want to spend more than you make.
Yes.
And then a benefit of starting early is because you already put yourself in that budgeting mindset. You've built those good practices young, and it's just ingrained into you. It's going to be habitual to be smart when you're budgeting.
So, Willem, what are some of the positive things that you've had since you've had a credit card for a while, and I heard you have a good credit score. So what are some of the things that are something to get people interested in wanting to have credit?
Yeah, so most people, they'll start off with some companies call them student credit cards. So, you can go through a lot of different companies to get a credit card, Discover, American Express. But, the short-term ones that you can have right when you get it is cash back, which is what Discover offers for their student cards. It's pretty nice. You spend money, and every month you get a little bit of money back. And, it's basically, don't want to say free money because you're having to spend it to get it, but you're getting money back. And then once you get a better credit score, you can get those nicer credit cards where you're getting like 5% back, which is a lot if you spend a lot of money on it. Or you can get the travel points. You can go on a nice vacation or something like that. Start early, get a student card. Anybody, you can most of the time get approved for any of those student cards. So definitely the benefits are sometimes pretty nice on the student side.
Yeah, you want to start with those secured cards, which are kind of catered towards students, especially college kids.
Yeah.
Because if you start out with a secured one, which kind of has those deposits and everything that keep you kind of in line and get you into the groove of having a credit card, it makes it easier to obtain that unsecured credit card once you're out on your own. You need more credit.
Yeah. You're spending more money dollars a month.
Spending more. It just helps you you want to make those small purchases that will help you pay off the balance and avoid that interest.
Mm-hmm. And those student cards are real easy to use. I mean, all of us got phones. They got Discover Card. It's got an app. I mean, it's real easy. I log in there, and you just click pay every once a month, and it's as easy as that.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't think about is it's almost easier to keep up with a credit card than it is a debit card, because your debit card, you're like, this is the money that I know I have, so I'll just keep swiping because I've got so much, so this is the idea that I have. But with your credit cards, you have to pay more attention, and I think it teaches you to be more financially responsible.
Yeah,
think about
that.
how much you're spending every month because with a debit card, you're like, this is the money that I know I'm making, and this is what I'm spending on whatever I want. A credit card, you have to think about, you're more likely going to want to spend those borrowed dollars on your gas, your groceries, and so you're thinking about where you're spending your money. You can see where you're spending your money, and just kind of keeping you from just blowing it all.
Yeah, because at the end of the month, you still got to pay that back.
Yeah, it's unlimited until you have to pay it, and then it's not.
And then if you can't pay it, it's just going to hurt you in the long run.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that college kids kind of forget about when it comes to that financial responsibility. And, that's what we're here for. We're Texan Smart. We're your financial literacy office. We kind of help you figure out where to start with a lot of it. And so starting out with those secured credit cards,
yes,
those student credit cards, the ones that are catered to help you build that credit score and get you ready for full-blown adulthood when you're living in a house or an apartment, wherever you end up. So I think it's kind of one of those, you just got to find your place. You got to find your groove. And I think we have covered pretty much everything that we could think of. And so just remember, be well, be ready, and be Texan Smart.